So you want to go to India, but wait. I know you're worried. You might get sick. You're worried about the travel. You're worried about all these things and how does it work? Well, good news. I'm here to help you understand every little thing that I did right and wrong on my recent trip to India. You are about to learn so much. Are you ready? Let's go. First off, India is an incredible country. How do I know? Well, I've studied food from the Indian subcontinent for over 16 years, and this is my passion. I'm a chef, and I absolutely love the food there. But I was a little intimidated on my first trip to India, and rightfully so. You may be too. You may have heard some things on the internet of it's not clean or any other thing like that. And here's the reality. India is a magical, incredible place, but it takes Westerners a little bit more time to get acclimated, and here's why. Start off, you're not going to be wanting to drink any of the tap water there. This may come as a surprise to you, but our bodies can't really handle that. The first thing that you're going to want to do is understand how you're going to get water there. Let's talk about water. Obviously, our bodies are not really able to process a lot of the bacteria that's there. It's very different than the West. So the first thing I wanted to do was really get acclimated to the climate, to the new bacteria, to everything that was kind of new. So the first product that I got was this. This is Life Straw. And Life Straw is known for making incredible quality filters that you can drink out of puddles in various countries. But this is the Life Straw water bottle. And this allowed me to take tap water in any place in India, put it in here, and drink directly from it. Now, this is a product that I'd recommend really, really strongly. Life Straw is not endorsing this in any way. But this is a product that I did some research on because I wanted the ability to have water on the go. Now, let's say you don't want to buy Life Straw, you don't want to buy this product. That's okay. Mineral water or filtered water is available everywhere in major cities. So if you're going to a city like Mumbai or Delhi or any place like that, you're going to have no problem finding a lot of different varieties of water that is filtered. And let me tell you, coming from the West, it's very cheap in comparison to what we pay for in prices. So a liter of water there is right around 25 to 35 cents. So if you're worried about tap water, which you should right off the bat, you either buy a product like this, which I'll put an Amazon link in the comments below, or be sure to have the money to be able to have plenty of water on hand. Remember, you're going to a place that's typically warm. If you're coming from a place in the West that is a little bit colder, like I did, you'll notice it's hot. So you're going to want to stay hydrated. Next thing is you're going to want to keep your devices powered, right? You're going to want to take all these beautiful pictures. You're going to want to do all these things. And so for me, there's two things that I wanted to do right off the bat. And the first was this. I wanted to make sure that I had the proper plug. Now this is a Type D plug. This is what it looks like. Type D plug. So it's got these kind of three rounded beveled things here. This is what worked in Mumbai. Now, if you're in a different part of India, please do the research. I can only speak from Mumbai at this point, but this worked perfectly. This allowed me to put all of my other devices charged and ready to go. And since I also enjoy wireless charging, if you're on the go, I like these little MagSafe. Slap them in the back, and they power you to pretty much almost a full charge of battery. And so you're going to want to take your phone, you're going to want to have access to things. Make sure you get that Type D plug and then some sort of external battery pack. These are just convenient because they're lightweight. The next, and honestly one of the most important tips I can give you, is to get a Sling front-facing bag. This is what it looks like. Goes right over your shoulder like this. This thing right here, this is incredible. It's got zippers. I found this on Amazon. I'll put a link to it again in the comments below. It's got a couple of different departments and it can zip tight. One of the reasons you want to do this is, you're going to a different place. And if you're going to various, parts of India, sometimes there's crime, just like there is everywhere in the world, right? Sometimes, most of the time in India, it's just petty theft. It's, pickpocketing and things like this. But again, this is not the norm. I don't want you thinking that you're going to go there and this is, oh God, you're in trouble. I felt so safe in India, and the people are so accommodating and so nice. But I like this wonderful little Sling, because it allowed me to have access to everything, including money, right here. So there was nothing in my pockets. It is a great addition, and I cannot tell you how easy it is, even when you're reaching for your little batteries like this, right? Your MagSafe batteries, you can pull them right out. You put your phone in there, then you don't have to worry about dropping anything. Highly recommend that. Next, a really important thing that I want to talk about in India is exchanging money. So if you're coming from another part of the world, which typically you are here if you're watching this, shout out to all my Indian friends. Love you guys. But if you're coming from the West, one of the things that you need to learn is this. A lot of what you see for street food or things like that is they'll have these little QR codes, and you'll see Google Pay or Paytm or things like that. It is a brilliant way to pay people. However, if you're coming from the West, you need an Indian phone number and bank account, typically, to create an account with these. So I cannot tell you how frustrating it was, because I love how convenient it is to just tap a phone and do Paytm. But unfortunately for me, I had to do currency. And so the currency exchange, obviously coming from the West, is great. But the biggest challenge is a lot of times if I'm going out and I'm having street food, let's say I'm having vada pav in Mumbai or some chai. Chai can be just 20 rupees. That's this. 20 rupees. Now, 20 rupees is a small amount if you convert it, but it's an amount that you can get a lot of things with actually in India. So if I'm trying to convert money, there's two ways that I learned how to do it. One of which is a very easy way with a high rate of exchange. It's kind of a high fee, and that's right at the airport. As you land in a place like Mumbai, you'll see many people trying to exchange money. It's a safe and easy way to do it, but the rates of exchange are much higher for something like this. So what I tried to do is I didn't go to a hotel in Mumbai. I stayed at an Airbnb, rented a beautiful apartment, which I highly recommend. However, it was a little tricky to figure out how to break bills. So if I had a 100 rupee note and I went to get a cup of chai, a lot of times the chai vendors would be like, no, like it's too high. Or a 500 note. A 500 note to us is only about $5.50-ish, right around $6. And here's the thing, like, that doesn't seem like a lot of money, but when you're trying to say that chai is this, 20 rupee, they're not going to want to break a 500. And so this was something I found out on day one. And here's a couple of really awesome tips. If you want to break some of your 500 bills, what you can do is you can go to a petrol station. Petrol stations are known for breaking bills. It's great. The other thing is you go to kind of a restaurant. And a lot of times the restaurants will give you some change there. If your bill comes out to 120 rupees and you have a 500, that is the time to now change. You can't really do it at a place where it's street food because they're just not going to want to break it for you. The other thing is exchanging money. When you come to exchange, there's a lot of banks across India. Number one, do your research. Make sure that you know how to properly exchange money and what the typical rate would be. Again, a little education in a country like this goes a long way. I'm going to say that India necessarily isn't the friendliest country when it comes to how easy it is to get by. And that is not a knock on India. It's a knock on we have to do our research when we go abroad, right? And what I mean by India not being the friendliest country for tourists is a knowledge thing. The people, literally 12 out of 10. They are so accommodating, so nice, and it is by far my favorite country I've ever been to. But here's the thing, it takes a little bit more research. So in all of the stuff that you're packing, make sure that you're downloading Google Maps. That's another thing that I really recommend. If you're going to be walking around and doing that, maybe you'll have cell service, maybe you won't. Gotta say, make sure you check out your cell phone plan. It might be worth to upgrade to an international plan. for your trip to India. But I highly recommend you understand what it's going to be like when your phone goes out there, right? Will you have access? How much data will you have? Will you be connected to Wi-Fi? Sometimes Wi-Fi can be spotty across India depending on where you go. In the bigger cities, obviously you're going to have no problem. The other major tip that I want to say is explore. And when I say explore, go out. India, listen, by the time you fly there, and if you're landing in a place like Mumbai, when you land, you're going to notice that it is just a beautiful place. There's hills, there's just everything. But you're also going to notice it's very different typically than where you've grown up, especially if you're coming from the West. And if you haven't traveled a lot, India can be a little overwhelming. I know it was for me. So the first thing to do is breathe. You're going to have a great trip. Get situated into your hotel or Airbnb or whatever your situation is. Get situated, have some fun, and lay everything out. From there, you're going to want to rest and explore. And when I say explore, I mean have fun. There was not one point in my trip to India that I ever felt unsafe. The people were more than wonderful. Here's a tip, and I want to tell you this right now. A lot of times you're going to get stared at, okay? Be totally understanding that people are going to stare at you. But here's what I want you to do. When they stare at you, I want you to crack the biggest smile in the world and watch what happens. The beautiful smile of those people, time and time again, they weren't staring out of disgust, they weren't staring out of animosity, and it may feel like that in the beginning. But the minute you crack a smile, the beautiful smile of the Indian people come right back to meet you. There's a phrase in Hindi, and this phrase is Aditi Devo Bhava, and it means the guest is of God. And I cannot tell you how many times the people of India embraced me as a guest, and I felt like a god. From being invited to people's homes, but the only way you'd get to experience this is by leaving your preconceived notions away. You have to have some fun and be willing to get out of your comfort zone. And I know that it was out of my comfort zone to go for my first time. So I want to talk about the style of adventure. And when I say style, I mean this. If you plan 2 things a day in India, that is plenty. And I mean it. So first of all, you have to understand a place like Mumbai or Delhi has incredible traffic. The population density is a lot more than typically where you're coming from if you're watching this video. So the first thing to do is realize that do not drive. You always hire a driver in every single solitary scenario. A lot of times, people coming from the West can't even get a car even if they wanted to, because a lot of people in India won't rent to Westerners. And rightfully so when you understand the traffics and all these other things. You're going to notice a lot of horns, and I mean a lot of horns. And at first, you may think, coming from a Western mindset, well, why is everyone beeping their horn? But the reality is this. All of these horns are actually a language. A quick couple of beeps may mean I'm coming up on the side of you. A long beep could be going into traffic. All of these horns are an entire language to navigate the structure of what is a big city like Delhi or Mumbai. So keep in mind that these horns are really people's way of staying sane and safe in traffic, because believe me, you've not seen traffic till you've been in Mumbai trying to go from a place like Khar to a place like South Mumbai in 4 or 5 o'clock p.m. It is a different world. Which leads me to another of my big tips here, and a tip that I cannot recommend enough, so please listen. You have to let go. A place like India is not a place like New York City, and you may say that there's a comparison there, but in reality, they're very, very different places. Mumbai is a different world, and I can tell you it's one of the most beautiful worlds if you learn to let go. Let go of your inhibitions of having to do things as a Westerner and realize that a lot of things are out of your control. You cannot control the smog. You cannot control the traffic. You cannot control things like this. All you can do is take a deep breath and embrace, and know that you're in a land that is so ancient and so beautiful with a rich and diverse culture. I cannot recommend enough as a Westerner to do your research. But from the moment you get off that flight, know that it's okay. There'll be moments of chaos, and believe me, I had my breakdowns walking on the streets several times where I was just overwhelmed. But it's okay. You're going to get through it, and it's going to be the trip of a lifetime. If you want to go to a place like India, I cannot recommend it enough, but you have to do your research. If you have any dietary restrictions, please be careful. The next thing I want to talk about is the food, because let's face it, so many people want to go to India for food, and I get it. That's why I've studied this for so long. Here's a couple of rules coming from a Westerner that I would highly recommend, and if you're Indian and you're watching this, please let me know in the comments below what your recommendations would be. But here are a couple. Number one, if you're going to eat street food, please only eat things that are cooked. You'll see so many street foods that are cooked and it's beautiful. Let me tell you, the food there is to die for. But do not eat anything raw. For instance, if you have something like a kebab, the kebab is cooked, but next to it often comes with a plate of beautiful onions that are cut and that are raw. They add a lot to a dish. However, my recommendation typically isn't to eat things that are raw in India. And I know you want to go for a dish like pani puri. Well, there are specific places that foreigners go to for pani puri. Street food pani puri is something that I really wanted to experience, but unfortunately I chose not to because pani means water. And so this is going to be water that's kind of used right out of a tap, and I had no way to filter it. But a dish like vada pav works perfect and is absolutely delicious, and I would encourage you to eat it. Number two, eating food. I don't recommend eating anything raw, like we just said, but I also say be careful when you start dairy. Things can be very rich in India, and if you start with a little bit of dairy, that's okay. A little bit of yogurt, getting a little bit of that bacteria into you so your gut biome starts to understand it a bit more is okay, but I wouldn't recommend going for a lassi the first day. It's just probably gonna sit a little rough on you. The third thing about eating food is bring some digestive things. I brought a really good probiotic, which I'll also link in this video. I also bought Pepto-Bismol tablets, and I took those every single solitary day, whether I had a stomach issue or not. I will say I had no issue whatsoever. I followed these rules pretty specifically. So if there was raw tomatoes in a dish, I wouldn't eat it. So a dish like bel puri, I wanted to eat it, but I also wanted to make sure that I could maximize every day that I was in India. With these tips, you're going to have an incredible experience. If you want to know more about what it was like to be in Mumbai or across India, or you have specific questions, let me know in the comments below, and I'd love to share with you anything that I can about my trip to India and how to stay safe in a country that I cannot recommend enough to visit. Listen, India is magical. There is a ton about it that you should absolutely go. And if you're a person who loves cultures and loves to learn and has a spirit for adventure, but also has some patience, then I think India is the perfect country for you to visit. If you're used to 5-star hotels, India is incredible when it comes to hospitality. The Taj, the Oberon, and all these beautiful hotels are known for a service that is world class. I highly recommend India. I highly recommend the people, the food, the culture, and all of that. But if you're coming from the West, understand it takes a little bit more research, and you should do that. That's a perfect way to stay safe in India for yourself and for everyone around you. Hope you got a lot of value out of this video, and if you love Indian food like I do, or you're curious about Indian food, consider subscribing. What we do here is we dissect Indian food, culture, and history and really try to understand it at a deeper level. You're going to learn some great stuff about food and meet some wonderful people along the way. Thanks for watching.